I gotcha. King Rinareth. Rin-Neref was born in 207 BE, before Earth. On Gardernay, he was accepted into the Guild of Writers at the age of 5, so standard age. And as the years passed, quickly because one of the finds and writers that the Rene had ever seen. Oh.
He was one of the finest writers they'd ever seen.
I think this is just a kid's book report.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Certain records go as far as stating that Rin-Neref was unsurpassed in skill by any other writer of the day. By the time he was 90, Rin-Neref had achieved the rank of Guildmaster and was well on his way to become the Grandmaster. However, due to personal convictions, he never achieved that rank. Rin-Neref had long been a challenger of the views of the Guild of Writers, as well as the king himself. Rin-Neref was apparently very concerned with the society's views pertaining to the purpose of writing and the...
Where did it go? I can't see it.
Top.
Scott, all right,
Click.
bottom?
Click. Just click.
Got it.
challenge of acting responsibly with the great gift given to us by Yavo.
I've not heard anything about Yavo yet.
Me neither. But this writing changes at this point. It says, around 73 BE, Rin-Neref was asked by the Grandmaster to write a descriptive book to a questionable age. At least in the eyes of Rin-Neref, he perceived the age being used to house an uncivilized race that could be used for the purposes of the Rene. Thus, Rin-Neref refused to carry out the command from his Grandmaster, and after much debating was apparently dismissed from the Guild of Writers. Some records do point to Rin-Neref willfully excusing himself from the guild, although regardless of how he left, much of the society found the dismissal unfair, and some even went so far as to call it detrimental to society. Around 59 BE, the fact that Gartenay would not be able to serve the Rene as a home for much longer was confirmed and the information made public. Probably a scary situation for them. Rin-Neref had long known of the state of Gartenay, and from the time of his dismissal had apparently been working on an age that he felt would be a good place to live for those who wished to follow him. According to various journals, Rin-Neref managed to attract a few thousand Rene and convince them to follow him in the ways that he felt important, and to the age that he had written, the king allowed Rin-Neref to split away from the Rene, along with a few other smaller groups, while the majority of Rene left Gartenay to a new home world called Tyranny. Rin-Neref took his group to Earth, where he established the Dunny, meaning new beginning. Oh, so this is the beginning of the Dunny. Okay, that makes sense. Rin-Neref was a strong leader, immediately establishing himself as king, and reigning for 120 years until his death. Obviously, those who followed Rin-Neref to Denis already respected him enough to separate themselves from their family and friends, and thus records point to very few debates or disagreements within the society under the reign of Rin-Neref. As had always been the case with the Rene, a group of surveyors was sent to Dunny before the group officially moved there, to establish the Great Zero, and the line emanating from it. A monument was built on the Great Zero in the year 0 DE. And it doesn't say what DE is.
I assume that's BE.
It could be BE, but No, it's DE, because D in Dunny is the same as the font in DE.
No, you're right.
Unlike previous occasions, Rin-Neref established the line of the Great Zero as set apart from holy buildings without the authorization by the reigning king. Construction was forbidden, though it's never stated...
I'm assuming DE is Denis era?
Probably.
That makes sense. I don't remember where I was, but directly records strongly imply that it was Rin-Neref who chose where the city would be established. he seemed to base his decision on two factors, which probably made the decision an easy one. First was the line of the Great Zero. It seemed an obvious spot to base the city, with the most important religious structures being directly on the line, and the rest of the city surrounding its center. The second factor was a group of waterfalls that flowed from the ceiling of the cavern to an area adjacent to the line of the Great Zero. The fresh flowing water was perfect for drinking. A new writers' guild, with fairly different rules than the one that had existed on Garternay, was constructed almost immediately, 8 years after, under the direction of Rinaref. By the year 100 DE, Rinaref had directed the recreation of the 18 major guilds. The guilds were dedicated to Yavo on the Day of the Circle, a celebration not only of the completion of the major guilds, but a celebration of new guilds, which Rinaref believed were healthier than those that existed in Garternay. Guilds that have been established to please Yavo and not themselves, Rinaref said. Certain records point to the guilds on Garternay becoming extremely competitive with one another, and focusing more upon having the best facility than carrying out their duty to Yavo and the people. In an effort to curb that kind of competition, Rinaref implemented a list of restrictions upon guild construction. The restrictions included guidelines pertaining to placement, facing the Great Zero, size, shape, and minor visual guidelines. Though one of Rinaref's top priorities was construction of a temple, there were disagreements as to specifics, causing numerous delays in the finalization of construction plans. Eventually, construction was started in 48 DE, and the temple was completed in 63 DE, known as the Regeltovorum. What a word. The temple to Yavo was meant as a place of worship, as well as as a reminder of the prophesied great king who would come to them soon. Rinaref was also made it a priority to install massive fans that would supply the cavern with fresh air. Kind of important. Natural openings existed, but it was quickly discovered that they did not supply ample circulation for the cavern. As a result, massive shafts and fans were built and installed over a 30-year period between 84 and 114 DE. It should be noted that numerous records point to a small group of Dunny disappearing upon completion of the fans. It is most often assumed that they remained on the surface of Earth to live. Throughout his reign, records point to multiple occasions on which Rinaref refused to build a palace for himself. Instead, he lived in a fairly basic home, similar in faction to most of his fellow citizens, and made it especially clear that until Yavo had a new home, he could not allow himself one. Although even after the temple was completed, Rinaref refused to build a palace, always focusing more on the religious and government sites. Rinaref's own philosophy centered on the fact that it was much easier to focus on Yavo and his wishes when circumstances were difficult and struggles more abundant. It was strongly believed that Rinaref's refusal to build a palace was an expression of that philosophy. In 120 DE, Rinaref died of apparent heart complications. It's about time, really. He was 327 years old. Though he had married, he left no children. As a result, he chose one of his apprentices named Eilesh to succeed him, taken from the memoirs of Eilesh, from the oath of the new guild of writers written by Rinaref, taken from the journals of Grandmaster Najin of the Guild of Legislators. Gardenay's son was... what are these... what? I don't know.
Those are asterisks that showed up throughout the rest of it, and these are his references.
These are references. Gardenay's son was dying and would eventually cause a rapid decrease in temperature, making it an inhabitable age. The Great Zero itself was usually based on a prominent natural landmark. Okay.
Also, shouldn't it be uninhabitable? Instead of just making it an inhabitable age?
I don't know, it's possible it's one of those things like that means the same thing.
I don't know.
Like inflammable.
I guess as opposed to habitable age.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, that makes sense. Within an age, from the Great Zero, a line was drawn, usually towards magnetic north, to aid in navigation, construction, and etc. It should be noted that the 18 major guilds of Denis were not necessarily the same as the 18 that had existed in Gardernay. In fact, they were probably much different, though there's no information that details the major guilds of Gardernay. We do know that the guilds were meant to be flexible and serve the people and the needs of their time, taken from a transcript of Rinaref's speech on the first day of the Circle. The prophetical work, the Regeltivor of Urpa, a book Rinaref believed strongly in, dealt with numerous prophecies of a great king who would be sent by Yavo to guide the people.
That's the
end. That's the end of that.
Of that one.
Of that, and so I guess that's the history. Oh, forgive me. Here, let me grab this guy.
Oh, we're probably gonna read
got
another
2 more
one.
books.
So let's just leave it up there.
I'll just leave it up here.
Well, if we're going to discuss this book, bring it back.
Well,
I don't think.
well, I mean, it's basically the history of the Dunny, which
Yeah.
I think is good to know. I guess.
Okay. Oh, ooh.
I got this one, I guess.
Man, this is like the most high school thing I've ever seen in my
The
life.
Stonehammers.
The Stonehammers.
All right.
Tigress?
Ready to rock.
Yes.
Yeah, it says Tigress.
No. Oh, King Demath took the throne in 4692 DE at the age of 154, though the public was generally not.
Only 44,600 years later.
Yeah. Oh, the
700.
Denis regularly brag about, our society has survived for 10,000 years, so what we're doing must be right. Even though at that time they weren't a kingdom.
It's ridiculous.
Took the throne in 4692 DE at the age of 154. Though the public was generally not happy with the reign of T, it appears as though they were pleased with his choice of Demath to succeed him. Okay. Demath had joined the Guild of Maintainers at the age of 5, as most did, and risen to the level of Guildmaster by the time he was chosen as king. The selection was a surprise to much of the public, and apparently even to Demath himself. It was not a post he had especially desired to have. Almost immediately, Demath ordered a ban on all unnecessary links to be enforced by the Maintainers, which the council carried out emergency meetings trying to decide their stance on the outsiders. In these meetings, the council concluded that relations with the outsiders would continue, but much stricter restrictions and guidelines. The list was long that Demath signed into law and included the restrictions of any outsiders operating Denis machinery or linking books. Perhaps more importantly, the council and king sent a clear message to all of the factions who were against outsider involvement, with Denis, their ideas would not be tolerated if they tried any infraction of the rules previously established by Lockamish, which were to become strictly enforced. And though it was not stated publicly, the Rachlimic, meaning the unseen, was apparently ordered to double its membership and fine any and all who were carrying out illegal activities with the outsiders.
So the secret police.
Yes.
Nice.
As well, Demath denounced the words of the Watcher as pure rubbish and nothing more than a desperately lonely man seeking attention. In 4721 DE, Demath pushed an amendment that forced the major guilds to accept a percentage of students who passed all entrance exams but could not afford the steep prices. It was the first such action in the history of Denis, and one that many seemed to question, especially the guilds themselves. However, Demath was able to convince them it was necessary for the society, and one to which they cautiously agreed. In 4724 DE, records point to over 10 separate groups being convicted of the Lokamesh's laws, as they had come to be called. Most agreed that the Relimek played a large role in the convictions, although there are no official records of their involvement. Regardless, each of the convicted was sentenced to solitary confinement on prison ages. The convictions must have carried a powerful impact on the society, as the public knew very little of Relimek, if anything at all, and thus had no idea how so many convictions were occurring. As one writer said, there were stories of dark shadows and mysterious creatures for those carrying out such activities. It was said that the eyes of Demath saw everything, while his arms took anyone he wanted.
So that was the big figure we saw a picture of in the homes, probably?
Maybe. The crime rate, especially pertaining to Lakamesh's laws, steadily lowered until 4752, when there were only 3 recorded convictions. In 4784 DE, an assassination attempt was carried out against Demath, resulting in the death of 2 members of the Relimak, who saved Demath's life in the process. The perpetrators were found, and 2 years later, Demath ordered their execution. It was the first execution of its kind and met with little resistance from the public or council. The 2 men were apparently linked into a death age, permanently ending their lives. Though most agreed with the execution, those who were against outsider involvement to begin with now felt even stronger in their case. Now, they argued, Denis is killing itself for the sake of the outsiders. In 4826, Demath was rewarded for his efforts pertaining to the acceptance policies of the major guilds. The first of the Guild of Stonemasons, non-paying members, headed the efforts to devise early fusion compounding technology, a building block for the eventual development of Nara. Demath praised the guild and the numerous opportunities that all citizens of Denis now had to benefit their society. In 4843, at the age of 305, Demath passed away, leaving the throne to his firstborn son. Some argued that T didn't make the choice of Demath, but that Grand Master Imas of the Guild of Maintainers made it. The matter was never officially settled, although most contribute to choices to T. From Demath's speech explained to the people the findings of the council meetings. By that time, the major guilds had become extremely expensive, and a large majority of the population, even qualified to join the guilds, had no way to afford it. Taken from the private journals of Guildmaster Rashan of the Guild of Archivists, from Revealing the Unseen, written by Basharn in 599, Goshen, leader of the cult group Blood of Yano, made the comment in a public speech. The comments were made by Demath at the public announcement of the fusion compounding technology. Nara is a substance that the Denis used to seal their tunnels that's stronger than granite and like any rock.
Huh.
And then they
Stronger than diamonds?
pretty close. I don't know if it's actually... It's also, like, you can't break it from what I understand. Like, it gives rather than break.
Oh, okay, so it's like bendy.
I don't know. I could be thinking of something else. Like, they weren't really clear on what was bendy.
Interesting.
King Shomat. Shomat took the throne in the year 300 DE, Denis era,
I was right.
at the age of 44. Up to the point of his coronation, he had been a member of the Guild of Writers. He continued his study of the art through private mentors for a number of years after his coronation. It was the lack of proper guild instruction that most Denis historians attribute to the disordered views Shomat later took on. It was an up and down reign, partly due to a tremendous tension that seemed to exist between himself and his older brothers. Both of the brothers, though they had little respect, did everything in their power to make Shomat's reign tumultuous. Though they had little respect.
Oh, they had little respect, as in people didn't respect them a lot.
Okay, I thought they had little respect for him.
Yeah, no, it took me a minute. I got it.
Right. One of the first actions Shomat ordered was construction of a palace. When it was completed in 347 DE, Shomat moved in with his family, although his brothers refused, and maintained their own homes. Such an act was regarded as tremendous disrespect to a family, and only served to widen the gap between Shomat and his brothers. Furthering tensions not only within Shomat's family, but within the culture as well, was the lavishness of the palace. Ornate gardens were present inside the physical grounds, and garden ages were written as well, linking from within the palace. So is that what we...
That must have been one of the things we
Has to be
read.
it.
I
Rumors...
wonder if we're in the palace right now.
No, maybe.
It seems more like a city. Like this may be the city built around the Zero.
Right, but the palace would be in the city.
I think we can see the
Maybe
palace through the spyglass.
Because
Away to the left there was a big building.
Okay,
up on-
okay.
I'm sure what we went to that time that had all the stained glass windows and all that. I bet that was the palace.
Maybe.
I know this is where we are is in the middle of the Denis restoration, whatever,
Yeah.
because they've got their own boxes stamped in this area.
Yeah, but the Denis
So-
restoration is just like the Denis have fallen apart. These
Well,
are
yeah.
people moving in.
Yeah, I'm
So-
just saying like for where we are, I don't think we're in the palace. We're in one of their like teaching areas.
Maybe.
Unless they took up their headquarters in the palace.
Right, that's
but
what I was
I do
thinking.
think you can see the palace away
Okay,
to the left.
alright.
We can check that right after this. Garden ages were written as well, linking from the yada yada yada. Rumors abounded that some of these garden ages were even wiped of their inhabitants in order to provide Shamat with relaxation. Whether true or not, Shamat often spoke publicly of the need for ages to serve the Denis. This was a first for the society and a direct contradiction to what the guilds taught. The Denis were to serve the ages.
Keep going.
It seems that eventually the tension became too much. Some say it drove Shamat mad. In 387 DE, both his brothers disappeared and were never found again. It was commonly presumed that Shamat wrote a death book to which both of his brothers were linked into, although it could never be proven. Regardless, it was one of the first major challenges for the people of Denis, and they reacted quickly. A prophetess was supplied. That is what that says,
Yes.
right? Was supplied to Shamat in 400 DE in an attempt to guide him in the ways of Yavo. Yavo? It's German. Yavo.
Yeah.
To guide him in the ways of, Schultz? Yavo, Herr Kommandant Klink. To guide him in the way of Yavo.
Well, now we have to have German viewers.
For the ISS,
I think that's 155.
for the 155. You mean not the International
I don't
Space
think it's
Station?
the International Space Station.
Well, I mean, they already have fusion technology.
It's
so-
not that kind of fusion.
For the 100, actually, this is Nepali. That's a Nepali character.
Yeah, that's what's
Just random bit of information. That little symbol.
Yeah, little tidbits there.
What?
That
Like
symbol like
something
that
to do with Nepal.
is part of the Nepali numbering system. I think.
Okay.
I think it's on some of my muskets.
That's interesting.
Oh wait, no. Where did I see that? No.
Anyway.
For the 155 remaining years of his reign, it seems that most people believe Shamat became a better king. The prophetess became an excellent mentor for Shamat and eventually convinced him to choose the son of one of his close friends as the heir to the throne. His own children were admittedly out of control. As it turns out, it was the bloodline of that child that led to the birth of the great king years later. Shamat died of natural causes at the age of 299. Women were generally seen as much better communicators with Yavo than men. As a result, most prophets were women. The choosing of prophetesses as guides for the king started with Shamat and became tradition for all the remaining kings of Denis. It was usually up to the king as to which prophet or prophetess he would seek for wisdom.
Interesting. So, this kid is off. Oh, that one was just a tongue out of your mouth. Okay. Never mind.
Go back and look to the left, though, because I
To the
do
right?
think.
I
think it's to the left.
I see. Sorry, I thought you meant.
Yeah, I'm thinking that
That's
might be the
probably
palace.
Nah.
And I bet that's the great monument to the Great Zero or whatever it was. Maybe right.
That would make
there.
sense. It's a weird spike.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank goodness for this tourist trap with their Persian rugs.
It's a trap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh
Ah!
Yeah. Let's keep going.
No, but hey,
I'm gonna do this. The next one is Sean Connery.
That thing. Turn
More
around.
hats.
Is that from the first guy falling through the book?
That
I think it is.
Oh, that's one of the references that they were talking about.
2000.
Okay, so let's just open these and see.
How many? Oh my gosh!
These look
Reading
official.
Where that white hat? That white hat is so much cooler than what we have.
And then is that a lunch sack?
Okay, we should probably read that.
Alright, Matthew, the last batch of papers you sent were very interesting.
Since you did such a good job, I got another list I'd like you to divvy up to the team. How you do it is up to you. 1. I'd like some more information on family life, ceremonies, etc. Anything related to birth, marriage, cultural events. I know we have quite a bit of source material. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, guys.
You're doing good.
Should
Should I do my Smeagol voice?
Oh my god.
No.
I know we have quite a bit of source material for this, so anything you get would be helpful. I think we've gathered quite a bit on science and technology and not enough on the personal lives of these people. 2. We have quite a bit of guild information, but gathering that all up into one tidy area would be nice. 3. The fall is still an obvious area where we are lacking. I'm not sure I can help you with research material, but given the latest information we're getting, at some time we're going to have to dig into this. I recommend assigning someone to the sole task of the fall. 4. Continue on with the kings. A short synopsis of all the kings would be helpful, following the form you started with the last batch. 5. We still have religious writings we need to translate. These are going to be the most difficult, but I think they can give us large amounts of helpful information. 6. We have a stack of journals from various Dunny residences, etc., not to mention ages. I think that will be more than enough for now. Again, thank you, team, and tell them they're doing great work. Dr. Watson.
So these.
Where the heck is my book? And why did someone take it in the first place?
So these reports on the kings. Those aren't little kids writing them.
They're researchers.
Oh my gosh.
Daggum. Hey, it's only 3 pages. We got
Let's see
this.
what the other one looks like.
Probably the same.
Other king.
King.
Probably
Maybe.
the
Okay.
well,
Alright, dear viewer. You signed up for this.
do we do it?
Yep.
I say
Oh, boy.
we release the whole night in one go.
Just
All right.
book readings.
Well, no, I may cut it like
The first half.
Yeah, because we did the steam vents. We
Yeah.
went
No,
to the place,
you're
and
right.
everything.
That bit, but after we started reading, yeah. Okay.
This is for you, babe.
Go.
Alright. King Meme. Took
King
the throne.
Meme?
Memeing. Whatever, don't worry about it. King Meme took the throne in 5040 DE at the age of 83. One of the biggest announcements of Meme's reign came rather quickly and was offered by the Guild of Miners and Stonemasons, who had worked together, apparently. In 5307, they revealed Nara, as it had been created in a laboratory weeks earlier. Nara offered tremendous opportunities for mining and construction and ended up having a massive impact on future opportunities for Dani. Even at the time of its release, there was apparently much excitement about its potential. In 5312 DE, disease broke out in the industrial district of Dani, most likely originating in the age of Yasefe. There's an asterisk. The outbreak caused widespread panic, as many predicted another plague similar to what had occurred during the 2100s. Fortunately, the illness was not nearly as lethal as the aforementioned, and the Guild of Healers reacted extraordinarily fast in finding a cure. Regardless, there was again a new push to at least separate the Neweril district far away from the city proper. I don't know what the Neweril district is, but we'll find out later because there's an asterisk there. Meeman apparently liked the idea quite a bit and encouraged the surveyors to begin looking into such an expansion. In 53-59 DE, the Dunny received another great reason to begin major expansion, and it came in the form of Stone Tooth, which sounds like the name of like a wrestler or something. Like, I'm Stone Tooth! But moving on. It was the second of the Great Diggers, and quite a bit more powerful and technologically
what was the
advanced.
name of it?
Stone Tooth!
Yeah, I read about that.
Okay, that's great. You read about Stone Tooth.
That's
I'm glad.
really
Our viewers haven't.
Ah.
Or maybe they have, I don't know. Our viewers
I
can
mean,
be
everybody
crazy.
that's read the books has read about it before.
Everyone knows Stone Tooth except for me. It was the second of the Great Diggers and quite a bit more powerful and technologically advanced than the older Stone Eater. Not to be confused with Snake Eater, which is a reference to something completely different. Meeman immediately ordered the Guild of Miners to begin clearing, confusing quotation marks, an area, along with Stone Eater, for a new industrial district replacing Neveril.
Yeah, they mean blasting it out.
Boom! It was not until 5475 DE that actual construction was begun on the new industrial section, Uran. Less than 100 years after Stone Tooth, in 5473 DE, the Guild of Maintainers announced that the newly discovered Derethany could be used to create much improved and much more protective maintainer suits. Though such an announcement may not seem especially important, the new suits ended up having a great impact on Dunny culture, since the maintainers were able to take bigger risks with the types of ages they could explore. The Guild of Writers were allowed to be a bit more liberal in their writing, and a new breed of age was begun. So I'm guessing the suit that we have might be one of the maintainer suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
it's
Just
a
that's a
maintainer
little
suit.
that's a little aside. I don't know anything.
It is.
Cool.
Good assumption.
Yay! I'm assuming things. During Meeman's reign, words became a common topic of discussion, and attention was again given to the older temples. Evidence points to numerous remodels and renovations of many of the secular temples that had been built years earlier on the new line of the Great Zero. It seems that the Meeman himself paid little attention to the religious pulse of his people, being much more interested in technological advancements and city expansion to care. Once Meeman felt that Stone Eater and Stone Tooth were no longer needed, he recommended using them to build an underground tunnel connecting the island to the city proper, and minimizing the need for boat travel. His proposition was not embraced by any means, especially by the upper classes who were living on the island. Apparently, there were a number of protests for fear of the effect the tunnel could have on the island. The proposal was also rejected by most of the guilds, causing Meeman to not force it. In 5500 DE, the first imports from other ages were linked to the new Uran district, much further from the city. Uran was said to be a tremendous improvement over the older Neveril, much more advanced, much safer, and there was tremendous celebration on the day of its opening. Security was tight in the new district, as it was revealed later that the Relima had uncovered a variety of plots intended to display some of the factions' disagreement with the district.
That's the place we were in before.
That
was
makes
spinning
sense.
around. We found books that talked about all the security and all that.
Interesting. Okay. In 5540 DE, Meeman's only son became extremely ill and ended up passing away 6 months later. That's sad. As a member of the Guild of Healers, Ashen was often among the first to investigate new ages to make sure of their safety in relation to disease. As a result of his death, the age was not approved until a cure could be found. Meeman considered the actions of his son heroic and changed the name of the Uran district to Ashaman a year after his death. It was said that the death left Meeman deeply saddened, devoid of the excitement he had shown throughout his reign. Many said it forced him to the prophetess Trisari. Meeman apparently spent much time with Trisari in his last days and was able to die a content man because of her. Okay, cool. You know, he found love. He's doing good. He's having a good time. You know, it's good. But Meeman died in 5549 DE at the very ripe age of 392, and choose his nephew.
Chose.
It says choose, so we're going with it.
Okay.
It's probably just a Dunny thing, don't worry about it.
Sure.
Probably on recommendation of Trisari to succeed him. I see Trisari's kind of using her position to kind of drive some change there, so his nephew, and they don't name his nephew, they just say his nephew, but whatever. A metallic gray stone, 30 times the density of steel, and the hardest of all Dunny stones. That's apparently the stone that
Nara.
they used to do Nara. That makes sense. Yasefe was mostly forest and provided Dunny with a good portion of its wood supply, including the expensive and rare Yema. The industrial district was formed during the reign of Nidra and served as an importation center for most outside goods. The newer ages allowed for much more experimentation with atmospheres, animal life, and energy sources. From the Journal of Grandmaster Vishar of the Guild of Stone Miners. From the journals of Prophetess Trisari assigned to King Miman. It should be noted that prophetesses had been assigned to all of the kings, but for the most part had become nothing more than figureheads rarely consulted. From Ashem, written by Ramina in 5589 DE.
Great.
Boom.
Are we
One
gonna
down.
keep reading these?
Holy crap, that's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you guys?
My throat is tired. My
I'll take
face is
over.
tired. Take over. Read. Read from the
Do we
viewer.
want to keep
also
reading
has-
these?
Yes, we're gonna make it all one.
We have to do
Alright.
it all in one episode.
I think that's
No,
what
we haven't read this one yet.
Can't see,
We
so
haven't?
I can't-
Go down. Go down.
Yeah, go
Right
up.
there. There you go.
Gotta go down. Look up, look
No.
down.
No.
Ah!
Oh, it's a short
I thought
one.
it was 2 pages. I thought it was 2 pages.
King Karath. King Karath took the throne in 6731 DE at the age of 54. Karath is probably the most well-known name of all the kings of Scotland. Not because he was necessarily considered the best, but because he was the last. His name came to represent all of the kings in the later years, including the remaining of the Arch of the Kings to the Arch of Karath.
5 hours later.
His mother, let me try this faster. His mother had raised him to follow the
Follow the what? Follow the what?
His mother had raised him to follow the teachings of the Gish.
Oh, that's better.
No. What is it? How let me try British. His mother.
His mama.
His
mama.
mother had raised him.
That's your French one, son.
His. What's something the British would say?
Cup of tea.
No, a British word. What's a British word?
Boot.
A boot.
That's not British.
His mother had raised him to follow. No.
That's still French.
Oh my gosh.
His mother
If
had
our
raised
users are
him
still
to
listening,
follow the teaching. It raised him to follow the teaching.
What do we want?
No, here we go. His mother had raised him to follow the teachings of Gish, and by the time he took the throne, he was believed to be a wholehearted believer in the followers. Because of that, and the experience of watching his father interact with his advisors, Karath had decided from an early age that a king was no longer the correct way that the Denny should be led. Smart guy. At last, he argued, not at least, he argued, not until the true great king would come. The fact that Karath, in a single reign, was able to convince his people that the way they had been ruled for thousands of years and should be changed should be considered nothing short of miraculous. Karath carefully crafted his arguments as a benefit for the guilds more than anything else. After all, he argued, Denis is the guilds. Let us be protected by their fortress and be ruled by their wisdom. It was hard for the guilds not to support a proposal that removed the king from the highest authority and replaced him with 5 lords. Lords that would be automatically chosen from the Grand Masters of the guilds. It gave all of the power of the Denis to the guilds, and there were only a few Grand Masters who seemed to disagree. These few were known as the faithful followers of the great king, Rinaref, who had always supported the role of kings. Fortunately, hold on, anything. Fortunately for Karath,
We're on the first page still? Why are you still going so slow?
oh, his people. Well, how did I do the old man voice? You know, you young whippersnappers. Fortunately for Karath and his people,
It's okay.
fortunately for Karath, those people believed a variety of different philosophical ideologies. Only those faithfully followed the original teachings of Rinaref and the great king were disturbed at the thought of no king. And it was the majority of Denis who no longer followed those beliefs, but instead those of anonymity, the Gish in the Watcher,
Wow.
and various others. As a result, it was a cultural
Wait,
impact.
did you just say watchers?
The Watcher.
The
The
actions of the watcher mean nothing, or is it of the gathered? I'm sorry.
Gathered.
Okay.
The gathered, yeah.
Keep going.
And basically, basically, what you got here is that as a result, it was a cultural that the public had to overcome, and not a religious one. And there's an asterisk right there, so we'll be coming back to that. Karath, he was attempting to further please the guilds, and he recommended new renovations and additions to the council chambers, and construction of a new guild hall, meant to celebrate the new power that would be theirs. Boom! A symbol of the new power of the guilds, and the lords, and be a further insult to the great king, burying his memory even farther under government construction. Construction, of course, began in 8970 DE on the new guild hall. There was no better symbol of the attitude of the Denis in 8970 DE, because the tomb of the great king was further buried under massive buildings dedicated to the government and the guilds. By the end of his reign, Karath had convinced a majority of the Denis of his own beliefs. Most claimed to be followers of Gish and his writings, but most viewed the outsiders as a threat. If not now, then soon, Karath had often said. It's true. After his death, Karath's words would become proven true with the onset of the Myst War. Outside factions invaded with attempts to destroy the ink-making and the book-making guilds, and almost succeeded. It's called Fahrenheit 451. By the time the war would end, there would be a few left who did not follow Gish, and thus believe in the end of most outsider involvement. The discovery that conservative factions had led to the start of the Myst War would come much later, but when it was far too late to alter the conservative trends. Regardless, in 8977 DE, Karath abdicated the throne and gave over the power of the kings to the first 5 lords of Denis history. They were Lord Tari of the Guild Messengers, Lord Hamala. Well, he was of the Guild of Healers, Lord Maleth of the Guild of Caretakers, Lord Kedri of the Guild of Writers, and Lord Corrinan of the Guild of Analysts. What a boring guild. Karath died 8 years later, and the time of the kings was over because he was done with. He was the last one. Taken from Karath's public speech in the first when he first proposed the idea, and that was from the first 5 written by Tarvis. Not Travis. It was Tarvis.
I wrote that.
In
That's all
7,000. And that's all she wrote.
All right. I guess we have some more to read
They did
then.
a weird mix of George W. Bush and Obama.
It was pretty brilliant. It moved me, Bob.
Bob.
I also probably
Moved you to another room, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moved our
What's the
viewers
next
to a
one?
different
Oh
screen.
gosh.
Hey, can you eat some of that lunch? There's more reading to be done.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, we still have a lot.
Well, you want me to go
Right
any more?
there. No,
Well,
it's
small book.
Right, there's a. What's that say?
It says, check this out. I know the DRC doesn't want us to touch these, but I bet I did. But I bet Watson would like to know how these register with the doors too. It makes no sense. And don't lose it. I could barely get it off the wall. When I did, it was pretty scary. Maybe the weirdest thing is that when I went back later, the cloth, that's a better word. I got
The great clutch.
I got this piece from was intact again.
Sometimes you gotta feather the clutch.
I think it
Click
says
on it.
nice.
I think it says Nick.
It could say Nick.
Okay.
Good old Nick.
Right, those books,
All right.
those.
We got full.
We have 7.
We're gonna get
read these 3.
No, we read those. Oh.
We got about 7 more books left.
Okay.
So I'll see you guys later.
I'm gone.
Bye.
Okay.
This?
Class structure.
Oh, Lord no.
What?
Alright.
Nothing.
Alright.
It's either
Class structure.
Seems as though my first.
No, please. No. Start over. Start over in a normal voice. Start over in a normal voice and read quickly.
Class structure. It seems as though my first inclination toward class structure was incorrect, though. Early on, there was little in the way of class society. Such a high ideal faded quickly. By 9400 DE, there was 7 very distinct classes. Elite, the lords and the grandmasters of the major guilds. It was possible for private citizens to be accepted, but if so, abundant resources were needed. It was only the elite who owned private libraries of books and the private islands. Quite a few obvious attempts to reach out and unify the classes, although I'm not sure it did much good. Common libraries, major guild scholarships, renovation of poorer districts all seemed more political than life-changing, not surprising, I suppose. Guild masters, yes, it was possible for the lower classes to attend, but it seems by the end of the schools were...
this is what I was thinking.
Oh, he dropped.
Just press A.
Yeah.
Just press A.
Hey.
This is what I was thinking earlier.
It's the right trigger.
Got it. Gotcha.
Far too expensive and prestigious to allow for such. As a result, the graduates became a class among themselves, and a very high one at that. Upper class, the lowest of the 3 classes. Such citizens had succeeded in private enterprise and most likely provided the elite with their books, pubs, banks, pubs, etc. No major guild education for the most part, but enough money to buy their way into the upper classes. Middle class, mostly shop owners and the like, able to afford some luxuries of D, but still considered far from the elite. Rare, but possible for them to own books as well as private agents seem to make up most of the minor guild enrollment. High poor, the higher class of poor seem to be made mostly of industrial workers.
Class of poor. I don't know.
What's your class? I'm high poor. The higher classes of
Sounds
poor
about right.
seem to be made mostly. Be made mostly of industrial workers, many of whom spent their time on foreign ages before it was outlawed. Of course, it seems that this class, along with the lower 2, did not own books. Low poor, I can't seem to find a better name for them. However, seems clear that there were 2 classes of poor. Those low poor were relegated to their own districts and rarely seen even with the middle class and never with the upper class. Possibly used as servants, although that was generally looked down on. Sub-law, reference to the least and undefined subclass are found on rare occasions. Not enough data to elucidate. That's a good word.
Man, I love the word elucidate. I elucidate every day.
Elucidate your thoughts.
Is it this one now?
That's not, we were looking at the
green.
blue one. Yes, so green.
That's the.
There you go.
Thomas, you're gonna go.
All right.
Go, Thomas.
Go,
Thomas. Go.
Do you want to read, or do you want me to read?
Not particularly.
All right. I'll
I'm
just,
good
I'll
with
just take
skipping
it.
it.
Now, this is surprising. I can't say for sure, but it seems fairly clear that Dunny women were only fertile for 1 Dunny day every 2 Dunny months. In surface terms, that's roughly only 30 hours every 72 days, which seems like very little, but
I mean, so you have to remember that Denis lived to be over 300 years old.
I guess so.
So
They don't want to have like kids all the time.
that and
so
like it's pretty similar to a period, isn't it?
I guess.
Ovulation.
I guess, but like stretched out. So they're basically elves.
They're dwarfs.
We don't know.
They are. They live underground.
They could be Dunmer.
They're Dwemer.
Or
Now,
Doug
give it-
Martin.
In the Sky or in the
Bob
Elder
has
Scrolls
drums.
universe, the dwarves and the elves might have been the same thing.
I'll give
I
it to
think
you.
that's why
I'll give
I
it to
didn't
you.
left.
I'll give
They
it
were
to you.
Doug Martin.
It's cool. Yeah, we don't really know. We don't know.
Oh, and another
Threw
thing.
it into the
In
cage.
the Elder Scrolls,
Wait
Yeah.
a second.
What?
In the Elder Scrolls, wasn't there one situation where you met a Dwemer, like the last Dwemer?
no, you met a snow elf. The last snow elf.
Oh, that
What?
was it. Maybe that was it.
Skyrim DLC, you met the last snow elf.
I thought like you met the last Dwemer and they looked like crazy and fat and they had like weird machine parts. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while.
Is that
That was a
Marwyn?
patch lad.
Maybe you can correct us,
That
dear
was
viewer. We leave it
We're
in
talking
your
about Elder
hands.
Scrolls,
A
and
couple
you're
dark
watching a Myst
stuff.
stream, so it seems really likely.
Have fun
there
with
you go.
that.
And we're just sitting over here making Star Trek references.
You guys
We're
need to
saying
just
it
relax.
sounds more like the Breen or maybe
Yeah.
the pack lad.
The
Fat and with machine parts.
oh, okay.
Could be an overweight Borg.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it really
Thing.
comes down to it. Yeah. Okay.
I've never seen one assimilated. I guess it could be.
Moving on.
Would it fit in an alcove?
Carrying on with the pregnancy topic, if true, it explains quite a few things. First, why there were so few children for a people who lived 300 years, and secondly, the reason behind the rather large celebrations of pregnancy. As far as I can tell, these celebrations were usually limited to family members, although were rather large. There was quite a bit of prayer to Yavo, as well as blessings from the family members. These blessings usually included vows to care for the pregnant woman and child through the coming months. That's sweet. As I have mentioned in other areas, pregnant women were believed to be much more insightful as a result. Part of the pregnancy experience, although not part of the official ceremony, was using that insight to gain revelation from Yavo. What? It'll take me a second to understand that. Though there was quite a bit of religious meditation expected of women during this time, I won't go into it here. However, this meditation was expected to primarily guide the woman to her child's future and its purpose, and was taken rather seriously. While pregnancy within marriage was cause for great celebration, the same cannot be said of pregnancy outside of marriage. Oh dang. Sorry. As far as I can tell, any woman who became pregnant was expected to immediately marry, and any child conceived out of wedlock was unable to join a guild for its entire life. Well, that's sad, but whatever. As well, no revelation was expected from such a mother. This was as equivalent a curse to a lower class woman as her child would not be able to attend a guild of the upper class. As far as I can see, gestation was a full year. I love that they're just like glancing over that. I guess maybe this is more like they're looking at it from a scientific
Yeah,
standpoint.
I think that's all that this is.
Yeah, so like there's no commentary, but it's like, well, wow, okay.
It's not that they were
okay.
able to find all of this out just by looking at the same things we've seen.
Well,
It's
no.
true.
So,
And
for one thing, there are areas that are closed off to us. And there are, in the books, there are literal libraries of all of the guild meetings where they just, like, wrote down what the guild meetings going back 10,000 years. So
That'd be a heckin' library. Boy, I bet that's just full of joy. Man, that would be the best job ever. Please kill me. As far as I can
and
see...
everything in those was law. Like, that was... it's the equivalent of using precedent today. So in the book...
Imagine being a dunny lawyer and just hating your life.
God. You'd have to, literally 10,000 years of cases.
Oh yeah, so there's
Yeah.
this... So, Atris wanted to marry a human. And they said... Well, no. Atris wanted the human that was with them to have basically the same rights as Denis. And everybody was saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. So he went and just talked to his lawyer friend and was like, hey, can you find precedent for this? Like, I don't expect anything, I'm just wondering. And the guy went, like, just got a couple law students, essentially, and just said, go find me precedent. So they went back, like, 6,000 years, and like, yeah, so some of the best students were allowed to use Denis stuff. That's precedent. That's all that you need.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, this is really helping that you read the books. I'm glad. I'm glad you did this, because I didn't have time to do it. So
I'm not even halfway done.
well, it's still helping. It's already...
We're not even halfway done with this.
To continue the paragraph, while pregnancy within marriage was cause for great celebration...
No. As far as I
Other
can
end.
see, gestation was a full year.
Oh yeah, we did already read that.
Yep.
Sorry. As far as I can see, gestation was a full year, 10 dunny months, 290 dunny days, equivalent to 1 Earth year. I have found no records of multiple births. And that's the end of that. So, we are just going to...
Alright, Sam.
Yeah.
What accent are we getting now? I like how this says maturity.
I'm gonna just start.
It does say maturity. No, don't. Just don't.
I'm not even gonna worry about. Alright.
No.
Let's see. I did an old man voice one time, but I don't.
Oh my gosh. It's that
That's
hurts my
worse
ears.
than Gollum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand Gollum.
It is so no. It is similar to a variety of other cultures, you know, that then he celebrated a child's entrance into reason.
Into maturity, Sam.
No, it says into reason and maturity. Better reasons there.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's gotta hurt your throat.
It doesn't at all, because it's all coming out of my nose. The Denis believed that true maturity, or the age of reason, wasn't that like Descartes or
Descartes.
Descartes? Yes. So wait, they put an S in there and a C.
Yeah.
Descartes. Wasn't it? Didn't he write The Age of Reason, or was that Rousseau, or
I don't remember.
one of the people?
I don't really care.
Right.
That's the better point.
The Age of Reason. I'm gonna look it up later. The Age of Reason, as they called it, was achieved at the age of 25. Before that, the Denis believed. Hey, you can't rent. Did you know it's hard to like rent a car before you're 25?
Yes.
It's because the Age of Reason. I've never understood that, but
It's not.
it's based on
That's
Denis
okay.
culture.
It's not.
I love that our society has embraced this so much. Myst has had such an impact.
It broke new ground.
Before that, the Denis believed that the children's minds and hearts were not properly formed. Up until that time, they even went so far as to say it was impossible for a child to truly make correct decision. I hate this font. As they were too easily controlled by other motives. That did not mean that what they did was not right or wrong, but the Denis believed that Yavo did not hold them accountable for those decisions. Up to that point, it was apparently up to the parents to judge and protect and thus another reason society encouraged couples to only have one child at a time under 25.
Age of accountability.
It's the age of reason, I think. In the ceremony of readiness, the Denis celebrated a child's entrance into reason and maturity. At the ceremony, the child was presented with a bracelet of knowledge, also translated maturity. I have to admit the translation is somewhat poor and makes it sound like, oh, magical... That's an A, but it's really bad. Like a magical or superstitious item, something it did not sound like to them. In fact, it was fairly serious to them. The Denis viewed the bracelet as a sign of accountability. The individual, once given the bracelet, was expected to be responsible for his/her actions, as he/she had true knowledge of good and evil, and the wisdom to make the right choices between both. Associated with the bracelet was certain rights, as well as expectations to behave in a more correct manner. From a religious standpoint, the ceremony of readiness signaled accountability to Yahweh as well as fellow Denis citizens. No longer were parents judged for the actions of their children on a religious level, and no longer was lack of knowledge an excuse to Yahweh. The Maker, they believed, now expected much more from them. Though the age of reason, that's going to bug me, was 25, the Denis did not consider true wisdom to come until much later. With not nearly the fanfare that the age of reason brought, at 125 years of age, there was another celebration for reaching the age of wisdom. Perhaps most importantly regarding that status, the Denis were allowed to become highest ranks of teachers or leaders, grand masters or lords. The same rules applied to women, and no woman under the age of 125 was technically allowed to advise, especially the kings. As well, it appears that a woman's fertility ended around the age 125. During the time of the kings, advisors were required for those kings who were under the age of 125, as the king himself had not achieved the age of wisdom. The great king Aleslador was was the only king who did not He was the only king who did not have an official advisor, even though he was under the age of the wisdom for the majority of his reign.
I think that's the end.
Thank God.
So, why would they do that? We think that before you're 125, you really don't have wisdom. But we trust you to be our king. Like that, I get. So,
What the goes against?
I mean,
It's a reference. That was the first game I think they
Manhole.
made.
I loved Manhole. That was great.
Did Sign make Manhole?
I realized I just said I loved Manhole, and that's kind of...
Well,
I'm sorry, dear viewer. That's not what I meant in any way.
so
I
this
was
is
intentionally make a joke about that, but you know what?
this is what they. This is the thing that Jimmy P was talking about.
What?
Cyan is a game maker in this universe.
Really? Oh,
Oh,
hey,
no, it wasn't.
Cyan.
No, Sam, look, it
Yeah,
says
so
Cyan.
it has,
Yeah, well, I
totally missed
recognized
that.
the title,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure. Yeah, but that makes complete sense. And I remember. Hey, can we open this book?
Yeah.
Hi, I'll read that in a second.
Marriage.
The Age of Reason was by Thomas Paine. That's why it sounds so familiar.
Viewer, I have to leave. These fools will continue. But I
Against
must
our better
go.
judgment.
We're gonna
Or maybe we'll just
probably finish reading tonight.
Probably
We'll
a
do
good
that.
plan.
We'll
finish
finish
reading
reading.
without me. That'd be great. I'm really excited about
We'll tell
missing
you.
all of this.
We'll tell you if there's any. Are you actually disappointed about missing this?
Okay, maybe a little actually.
Oh.
But
I mean, we could.
but I don't want
No,
the
we'll
viewer
wait.
to know that.
No, we'll wait.
I'm
It's
sure
fine.
Haley-
No,
seriously.
No way.
No, seriously. If you are at all disappointed about this, we have no desire to continue.
Yeah, we
without you.
really don't want
Just
to.
finish it for the view, dear viewer.
Dear viewer, you're gonna watch it today,
You
or
deserve.
or 2 days from now.
You deserve this.
Possibly 4
So
days.
they're
if
gonna
it's a
do it for
Thursday
you.
to a Tuesday.
Yeah, but anyway,
This isn't for me.
Okay.
This is for you.
Also, would Haley really like?
No, Haley wouldn't care.
So
You have to read it tonight.
No, we'll wait for you
Do
next
it.
week.
Just
do it.
do it. Continue reading.
Okay. Sam, do you want to take a break?
I don't. You know what? I'm good to go.
Take a
Do
break.
you want me to go
Take a
like
break.
a Swede?
Take a break.
No,
Take a
don't-
break.
don't
I can
do a
Take a
continue
break.
to talk
Take a
about the
break.
Swede.
Take a break.
It's just with full Swedish chef on you. I don't know what happened.
I can talk about the Swedes.
Oh my gosh. What happened?
I got tired. I wanted to take a nap.
Marriage.
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 Here what brings us together
Today.
Much
Wav. Twoo wav.
That blessed arrangement.
See, I wish I could say that didn't remind me of the pastor at my church we used to have.
See you, Travis.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
So, marriage, a topic that is very near and dear to my heart
What are we doing
at
in
this
Russian
time.
accent? Marriage. Typically, that is our most dear.
Marriage, much more important than modern cultures. Within the new culture, all citizens were expected to marry.
No, that's Italian mobster.
Hold on, let me see if I can get my Russian. Let me see.
That was not Russian.
I know, let me see if I can get it.
Niet, 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 niet. Alright, nope. Alright.
In fact, it was even believed that marriage was an important part of a relationship with Yovo, as it...
Yavo.
What?
Yavo.
Yavo, as it taught and revealed the necessary requirements for such a relationship. For both marriage relationships and the relationship with Yavo was described by the same Denis word, tagam. Literally translated, the word means to love with the mind and implied a deep understanding, respect, and most importantly, unselfish love for one another. That is agape in Greek. Obviously, the religious influence on most of Denis culture was very strong, and as a result, marriage was not something taken lightly. It was considered a lifetime commitment, and for a Denis who would live to be 300 years old, it obviously was not a decision that the Denis felt should be rushed into, and seemed as though it rarely was.
Okay.
So, some records point to rare arranged marriages, although for the most part, it seems that the decision was up to individuals. Marriage was not permitted before the age of 25, and marriage between blood relatives was strictly forbidden. Though allowed, marriage between the classes was looked down upon. Marriage to other worlders was practically unheard of. I have found certain writings from 9,000s going so far as to call them marriage. Mixing of Denis blood with outside cultures a travesty, while others wrote such a child who marries an outsider was better off dead. That's actually a thing with the Atris's lineage. Because Atris, as we know him, his grandmother married a human, and she had to throw a healer literally out of her house because it's like, your baby would really be better off dead. Yeah. The marriage ceremony itself was not a single-day event, but one that took over 5 days.
And think about how expensive your half-day event is.
Dude,
You would be bankrupted.
My cousin is doing a 3-day wedding.
Good lord.
They are renting a boat to take the entire party out and dine with lobster.
I see, as a member of the, someone who's not paying, that sounds amazing.
Uh-huh.
But, good lord, does that sound expensive?
I'm doing bare minimum wedding as best as I can. I can't afford that squat.
Now, when you say dine with a lobster,
Yes.
that may not be quite as
You go down to one of the
Hello, dear lobster. Hello.
I was thinking you go down with one of the big diving bells and just eat next to a lobster.
How is your trash? Oh. Okay. Attendance to those sections of the ceremony to which one was invited was extremely important. It was considered a disgrace to be invited and not attend. I'm begging people not to come to this other than you, Sam. You have to come.
What about me?
I think that's sort of assumed.
Oh, because I'm... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
He's
both had
filming
jobs.
it. Alright.
Oh, I forgot.
The event usually began with a small...
Remind me. The day of. I forget everything.
The event...
Josh, how's it going?
Well, Sam, I'm getting married in an hour and you're not here.
What? No, I'll be in the audience and you'll be, hey Josh, how you doing? Where's your camera? Oh no, hold on. Be right back.
Let me just get set up real quick.
Can't borrow your iPhone. God, they got pretty good sensors now. 4K and everything. It'll be great.
You'd be running up to grab my phone. All
Thomas, quick, give me the controls to your drone. I'm just going to record it with that.
How do I use the camera on the phone?
Just cycle up onto the stage.
Up to Thomas. It says slide to unlock. What do I do?
Bye. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody noticed. You think they noticed? I think I was good at ninja.
No one saw you.
I dressed all in black just so I could do this.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Hello, Haley. Don't mind me. I'll be gone in a moment. I just gotta ask Thomas. Thomas, it says slide to unlock. What do I do?
The event usually began with a small ceremony held on the evening before the first day of the marriage ceremony. The ceremony always took place at the home of the groom or his parents and was meant to confirm both the bride and the groom's decision to be united to one another in front of their immediate family. The groom presented his bride-to-be with a gift representing the confirmation of his choice. The acceptance of the gift by the bride-to-be was a acknowledgement of her decision. Immediately after her acceptance of the gift, the bride-to-be was escorted away with her family and not to be seen by the groom until the joining ceremony that could take place on the 5th day. Would take place, not could. Would take place.
True.
The first day was meant for the bride and groom to spend time with their families as they were starting their own family. Their old family would no longer be the highest priority. Thus, the day was set aside to spend time with the original family. Traditionally, that day ended with a large meal as well as speeches and blessings from the parents to the child. The second day was set aside for the bride and groom to spend with friends, both married and unmarried. Traditionally, one of the friends would host a large dinner at the end of the day. The third day was reserved for spending time with the soon-to-be in-laws. It was on the day, day in hell, that the bride and groom received blessings.
I wouldn't have said that. Just on the off chance.
Not when it's permanently recorded and on the internet. Oh, Lord. This is not going to end well. Might truly be a shotgun wedding.
I mean, I can edit that part out.
Probably do that.
We're just gonna drop audio for a while.
That's fine.
And this conversation's not gonna make any sense.
You know what? No, don't drop it. It'll be fine. They're never going to watch this. That the bride and groom received blessings from their in-laws as well as other members of the family. Again, there was a traditional larger meal at the end of the day, marked by speeches from the eventual in-laws and other soon-to-be family members. The fourth day was meant for the couple to spend time alone with Yavo individually. Though many apparently viewed the day as a formality, others viewed it as the most significant of all the days. The day was often filled with prayer, asking for Yavo's blessing upon the event, as well as time to understand Yavo's desire for their new lives together. It also was considered a time to purify themselves before Yavo. Some chose to spend the day with priests or prophets, while others read the holy books and talked to Yavo himself. The fifth day was the day of joining. The early portion of the day was set aside for physical preparation, with the late part of the day set aside the joining ceremony itself. For those who did not have access to private ages, the ceremony usually took place on marriage ages. For the upper classes, the ceremony took place in a family age. All family was expected to attend, as were fellow guild members. All of those attendants were divided into two sides. One side represented the groom, while the other side represented the bride. Between the two sides in the center was a large island of triangular podium. The bride and groom would each approach their side of the podium by walking through their respective family. And
The family were ghosts?
friends. It was, after all, these family and friends who had made the bride and groom who what they were. The D&D believed it was those family and friends who should present their brides or grooms to their spouse. The priests were usually stood on the third side of the podium. As with most important events, and especially marriage, the bride and groom wear the bracelets they had been given at birth as well as maturity after...
Is that what you're
That seems like it would be small.
I'm thinking of those hand towels we made in school. You want those at your wedding?
No.
You know, the
No.
special ones you made?
No.
I don't even
No.
know.
So I was there for 3 years, and the only thing that made it on those hand towels were my initials and a brown, badly done cross. That was all that made it on there.
I think I might have added a smiley face because I was bored.
I don't know. Also, that
Really
day
don't
of
know.
that day of the one thing, I think I'd have just taken a nap.
Yavo?
Yeah.
So actually, I was thinking, this thing so far seems pretty cheap. You're being wined and dined. You're not wining and dining.
It's kind of true.
You might be whining.
Especially on the third day.
Just go, it's digging yourself a hole and you don't even have a shovel. Just blasting it through the rock tonight.
So, if they ever watch this...
So what's gonna happen is we're gonna get comments about it, and then
They'll
somehow,
not watch it, but read the comments.
Bingo.
If you're still watching this and you comment on this,
You'll
Well, they
delete
don't
the
have
comments.
context,
yeah,
really, so it might not matter.
I'm not worried about it. As with the most important events, especially marriage, bride, they have been given birth, and the groom arrives to the platform. The father of the bride would remove the bride's bracelet and give them to the groom. The Denis believed the giving of the bracelets represented the giving of the bride's purity and the adulthood to the groom. A short speech of the often followed the event. The father of the groom would follow the father of the bride with the identical procedure, giving his son to the bride. The giving of the giving of the children was followed. The giving of the children is followed by an expression of both parents of their blessings upon them as being joined, as well as those present. Symbolically, the bride and groom then switch sides to represent on acceptance of all the bride's family and friends of the groom, and vice versa. Both the bride and the groom then handed all 4 bracelets to the priests, while the priestess led the couple through their commitments to one another. And Yavo, the bride and groom, placed their hands upon the podium. During the commitments, the couple made promises to one another, followed by promises to Yavo. All were recited out loud to the priestess.
So, got a quick question. I meant to bring it up earlier. There's the line from the 0 points to magnetic north. This is a very long-lived society. What happens when the poles change?
They made mention of the new line.
Oh.
Like new 0 line.
I think that was just they changed worlds.
Ew.
See, I'm thinking, if they stay, conceivably, if they stay on the same world, that line's going to be pointing south.
So,
It's supposed to head north, towards magnetic north.
I think
I
it's
don't think it
really
really
just
matters.
your initial planning.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a line
Yeah,
to base
but
everything off
If it
of.
matters so much to them,
I don't think it matters that
all of
much.
their stuff is going to be wrong.
The priestess usually reminded the couple that the marriage was a reminder of Talgathan, to know with the mind, and that their love should always be a representation of their love for Yavo. Following the commitments, the priest would place two new and larger bracelets upon the bride and groom. I'm glad those bracelets at birth would be tiny. The groom's was placed upon the left wrist of the bride, the right, and the bride the right wrist. The new bracelets were meant to represent both the purity and maturity bracelets their spouse had previously worn. The Denis emphasized that the spouse was now your responsibility to keep pure and knowledgeable of good and evil. The bracelets were meant to be a constant reminder of that responsibility, as well as commitment to maintain the best for that spouse. After the new bracelets were placed upon the wrist, the hands of the bride and groom were wrapped together with a tight cord covering the wrist and hands completely. Upon completion, the priest placed a ring upon the pinky of each free hand. The rings were symbolic reminders of the entire ceremony and placed upon the 5th finger to represent the joining that took place on the 5th day. The priestess would then usually remove herself from the podium so that the couple could take her place. Together, the couple then walked down the aisle between the two parties and toward the far end of the aisle, where a glass of wine waited for them. Before drinking, the couple knelt and prayed together to Yavo. After the prayer, they each drank from the cup, and the two sides of the hall merged into one group, often with great celebration. They were now considered joined, and the celebration could begin. Families usually fed, all in attendance, and they were typically dancing and music. The couple was expected to keep their hands united throughout the night as a reminder that they were now joined both in the eyes of man and Yavo. The binding of the hands was apparently meant to be somewhat troublesome, symbolizing that there would be difficult times to the relationship, but that those times did not affect the fact that they were now joined.
Sometimes I have trouble remembering to drive on the right side of the road. This seems really, really complicated.
Following the celebrations, tradition was for the couple to embrace the priestess to touch a linking book to them so that they would both link to vacation or honeymoon type ages. Though these vacations were usually short, it was not unusual for the man to not work for up to a year in order to build the new marriage. That's also a thing in ancient Israel. I should also note that the cord used to join the couple's hands together was also viewed as a sacred item. It seems as though various couples used the cord in a variety of ways, some using them for necklaces and others hanging them in their house.
Whew! We could have used it to build a bridge. We were looking into rope. Remember that? Long time ago? We used some rope. We didn't have any rope. Oh! Wait, whoa. How many of these do we have left?
3. Just these.
What about that other table?
No, we already read that one.
those. Hold on, let me see if there's more over here.
Yeah, let's...
Carpets? Nothing?
Are we
Another
supposed to-
hard hat.
No!
You want to actually let me pick
turn
it up?
around real quick.
Let's see, is that? Yep, it's a typewriter.
Keep turning. What's that?
Is this?
No.
That break in the wall. Carpet. Jump. Do it. Jump. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
But what if we can't get back to the
That's-
door?
Oh no!
Do it.
Okay, so nothing to do.
We can't commit suicide to get away from these books.
All right, let's.
Hold on 1 second. We should probably get.
We got time.
I don't know.
You're the only one that has work.
Yeah.
Currently, anyway. Let's see how long they are. Oh, it's another kid's journal thing.
I have an idea. How about we don't and we say we did?
No, that would be lying. How about we don't and then just
Ignore
you
it?
do it in your spare time?
Tell us what's going on.
How about that?
Oh gosh. You know, I was actually thinking on the way home from work today how incredibly satisfying my work is when it is satisfying. As in, there are 2 ways that my work can go. I can sit there and do basically nothing all day and be incredibly boring and terrible, or I can know exactly what I'm doing and, I get things done and it's wonderful.
What he means to say is he's always very busy at work and is a productive employee.
Should be given a raise.
I should be given a raise. But what I mean by, I'm sitting there doing nothing, I mean, I don't know how to proceed and I just have to sit there and think about the problem.
When he says he doesn't know how to proceed, he means that he is contemplating the very best way to proceed.
I'm a computer programmer. Sometimes I just genuinely don't know how to proceed at all.
Didn't you just make it up? Does it work? It worked? Hey, we're good.
Yeah.
Let me know if it ever quits working.
I lend my voice to not reading these.
I don't want to.
They're just going to be more histories of the kings. I think I saw...
So on the one hand...
You know what? We could leave that to the viewers. If any of them actually watched this far, then we can come back and read them at some later date.
You mean 2 months from now?
Yes. If they actually want us to read
Okay.
these.
Alright. We're signing off, dear viewer. We got some Stargate and Star Trek to get to, so we'll see you later.
Bye.